Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, diet time is here. That's right, we're talking Scream for Help on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from New Rochelle. It's the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. We're going to unpack all the goriest of details of 1984's winning Scream for Help in the hopes that an unlucky high school student or mother, their death is just the beginning of the jokes that we could make at their expense. And as always, there's only one person that I trust, and that is, if I'm going to try to help her explode, she will make sure that I don't do it at the wrong time, like when I've just had sex for the first time. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Well, I had time to soak my eyeballs in a solution of warm water and bleach, and I popped them back in. So I think I'm ready to start talking about this.
Well, I think we have I would say the perfect people to help us in that situation. I don't want to scare you, Gina. We're not alone. We have special guests, live and direct from their own show. Kim and Ket Stay Alive. Maybe it's Kim Burns and Ketrin Porter. How are you doing, both of you?
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you here. It's a long time in the making. I love your show. We're both weird horror pods, and so I felt, why don't I inflict my enjoyment of this very disturbing film on more than one person like Gina? Let's bring in more people.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So
I just you don't often hear the words inflict and enjoyment in the same sentence.
I'll be honest, it felt more like a hazing type of situation. And I was like, I'll take it. We're new, but yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. Did I get into the
Are we in the
sorority
club?
fraternity? Yeah,
Oh,
are we in
yeah.
the club?
You're
Cool.
totally in. You're absolutely.
You're
in.
probably more in than we are. Let's make that very, very plain. We're
Great.
very much on the outsider train. This is one of those movies that I would classify as fucking Banana Town. It's
I
so
wrote
wild in parts.
I wrote down it's a little after school special meets Nancy Drew meets Boobs and Doggy Style.
Yes.
Meets also like the unexpected sexual predator of the show that was like, why is nobody talking about Josh as this absolutely a complete and utter sexual predator in the making? Like, what is happening?
He's like the biggest villain in the whole movie.
Yeah, like I just feel like we were supposed to be looking one way, and I'm like, but there's a disaster right across the street. Like, what is happening? So
It's a little known fact about New Rochelle is that boyfriends are transferable. So
Very quickly.
You don't even have to wait. Just it's like a car title. You hand it over to somebody, they stamp it, and it's yours. And
Okay.
in New Rochelle, you don't even have to see someone down at City Hall. You just go, oh, you know that person that I lost who is my girlfriend? I miss her a lot. You know what also is missing her? My penis. Would you like to help me miss her together?
right?
And then everyone's fine.
Except for I just forgot her name. What's her name? Main character.
Do you mean Christina Ruth Cromwell?
Yes, Christina Ruth Cromwell. She was not super okay after her first sexcapade in action.
No, she was not.
This
Just at the onset, for our audience, I want you to know, this movie, and Michael Winner, the director in particular, are sexist as fuck.
No.
So, it's on the skosh side of misogynist. Just a
Oh
little.
my gosh, you are blowing my mind here.
Yeah, there would be no evidence in the film itself.
We
It's very much
can't-
subtext.
We have to be fair. I mean, he did not write the script.
No.
Tom Holland, who wrote much better movies. Tom Holland, who wrote Fright Night.
Yeah.
Yep.
A year later, wrote this. does not know anything about how losing one's virginity works,
Nope, not a thing.
does not know how mourning works.
Nope,
No.
not at all.
Doesn't exist.
No,
Doesn't happen.
Not at all.
No.
Uh-uh.
I'm not entirely sure he understands how a car dealership works.
Yeah. Also, Gina, when you said morning, I was spelling it MORNING, and I was like, what did he mess up about the morning? I couldn't figure out.
Well,
what
I
you were
mean,
talking about.
don't forget that when we learned that Christy does not know how to drive a car, she tries to say, "Oh, it's something like it starts slow in the morning," and Josh is like, "But it's not morning."
So I guess morning and morning was something that they struggled
Yeah.
with. Great.
Anything that starts with an M, she's a little bit iffy about.
Yeah.
So let's get. I assume neither of you had watched this movie because almost no one has heard of this
No.
movie.
I absolutely have not watched this.
This was my first time.
I try to take care of my mental health, and so I hadn't
So it was up to me to destroy it.
100%. Yeah.
On target. Way to go. Well, check that one off my list.
Come on! Guest on Kill by Kill. Leave with psychological damage. That is our solemn promise.
And to think I didn't want to talk about Chopping Mall because the idea of robot cops killing people made me feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And then I'm watching this and I'm going, well, I don't know that this is any better.
No. It's really just a transference of issues. It was a lateral move.
It is a
honestly.
lateral move
Yeah.
for sure. So let's begin at the beginning. What a wonderful place to start. And that is with Christie's voiceover, which will come and go throughout the movie.
God.
She starts by telling us, my name is Christina Ruth Cromwell. I'm 17 and I live in New Rochelle. I think my stepfather is trying to murder my mother. And that's it.
Her
That's the
stepfather,
setup.
Paul Fox,
Paul.
Oh, fuck.
which they constantly refer to him by his full name.
That's so true.
That's another thing that Tom Holland does not understand is how names work.
How names
Well,
work.
for men, he doesn't understand how names work. For women, they seem to have first names. But for Paul Fox and Josh Dealey, they have full
Yes,
hyphenated names.
That's right, Josh Dealey. That's
Yes.
right.
It would be one thing if it was Christina's thing to call everyone by their full name,
Right.
but everyone else refers to Paul Fox as Paul Fox.
And listen,
Yes.
he wasn't not a fox. He had like a certain sort of 80s vibe
like a nighttime soap opera actor.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And a little bit of a Knots Landing thing going on there.
Yeah, like I wasn't into it, but I also wasn't not into it.
Sure.
His sweater game, I would say, is not on the level of if we're just talking about Fright Night.
Oh,
That vampire has a fucking sweater game.
Yeah.
But Paul Fox is trying, but not quite on that level. But we're getting a
agree more.
lot of cardigan action from him.
yeah, no. He's no Jerry Dandridge.
No,
That's
no.
for sure.
I mean, who is really? I mean,
No.
No one.
We've been looking for a new one for a very long time, and we haven't found it.
No, we have not.
You know, Jerry Dandridge is so sexy in Fright Night that when he shows up in Child's Play as a Chicago cop, he's still as fucking good looking in a sweater. You don't take him out of the sweaters. Interesting thing about Christie's bedroom. We love to see bedrooms on this show. They're full of interesting details. So a couple things that Christie has laying out for us to look at. First of all, a small statue of a Canadian Mountie. Every teen girl loves a Canadian Mountie.
Wow.
And
I mean, Kim has one. Kim has a couple, actually.
I've got full size though. I prefer it.
Right.
Yeah.
well, listen, you know, you're a size queen. That's fine. I'm not here to yuck your yum. The other thing is, Christie has a lot of Rick Springfield paraphernalia. So
well, I mean, it was 1984, Patrick.
Sure.
I had Rick Springfield paraphernalia.
it's true. Just so everyone remembers, Montrose, California resident Rick Springfield. Just very important to only LA people.
She's also wearing at one point a magnificent baseball shirt that says the Muffs on it, which was
Yes.
which was a punk group that I have not the slightest bit conviction that she has ever heard of.
Okay, thank you. I actually wrote down in my notebook. I was like, I don't know that a muff is anything other than female anatomy. So like I didn't get the reference. I was just like, she's just wearing a shirt that says vagina on it. Like I didn't know.
Yeah,
that there
no,
was another-
I'm pretty sure that like the costume designer, if such a person existed, just saw this shirt in a store and said, "This looks like something a teenager would wear."
I've got to.
Yeah.
And yet she also had a Commodore's poster next to her
Yeah.
next to her bedroom door. Now, I'm all for versatility in one's music listening, but the Commodores and the Muffs, I'm not believing that those are all on the same teenagers playlist.
She also has a poster of just a guy who's very sexy with blonde hair, and it
This is
says
looking
"looking good" on top of it.
I love that poster.
Sure. It's the 80s.
A John Denver album cover and Toots and the Maytals. She's all over the place.
I'm really excited you saw those details because the tour that you just gave me was absolutely.
This is all we do. We talk about the weird background. You should have heard our run on oh god, Patrick, which one of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies? Was it all of them that
Yeah.
we spent an inordinate amount of time talking about the characters' bedrooms?
The bedrooms in the Nightmare on Elm Street series are fucking insane.
We're
amazing.
like human like Tumblr fiends. We just focus on the weirdest details, and then and then they get murdered, and that's the last we see of them.
I love
we
that.
we only view time through the amount of people who die in a movie. We don't actually care that much about death
No,
when
of
in
course.
the end.
Sure. I mean, we're all going to do it. It's a club we're all going to join.
I have a
true.
question about something else in her room because this
Sure.
bothered me the whole time. She had like a poster board on the outside of her door that it was like written in marker. And so
Yes.
finally I could see what it says. And it said, "This premises is guarded by killer garbage," in like capital letters and underlined. And I was like, is that a thing that I don't know what it is? Is that
Yeah,
before my
I was
time?
I was puzzling over that too.
Guarded by killer garbage.
And then I looked it up. I
Thank
was
you,
like, was
Kim.
that a band? I don't understand what it meant.
Yeah.
But it was like handwritten.
I don't know.
I
If
actually
someone hasn't
wrote-
taken that name yet, please drop
yeah.
your new LP this Friday, Killer Garbage. We're looking forward to it.
Kim, I literally wrote, "What does that sign say?" And then you answered it. Once again, our brains are so synced up, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I needed to know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy details in this house, including a clock that seems to be operated by plated bread. It's so gigantic
Yes.
and ornate and out of step with everything else in the house. And Michael Winner cannot stop focusing on it. Yeah.
Are you talking about the clock that's like a relatively like moderately sized face of a
Yes.
clock?
Yes.
But then the pendulum is the size of the house itself. Is
It
that
seems
what
to
you're
be a
talking
paddle
about?
board that you would use on Greek members if they're a part of a
Yes.
satanic cult.
Yes. So
Yes.
here's what's also super weird. As someone who is mildly familiar with grandfather clocks, the ratio of the weight of that pendulum to the face of the clock would not work properly. It would slow down like very, very quickly. Like you would have
Yeah.
to rewind it. So I'm very upset about the clock construction. I'm glad that you brought it up.
I'm very glad that you explained why it looks so insane. Because we're working together. These are Wonder Twins that are now activating. I
Right.
like this.
Exactly. I love it.
So a couple Chekhov moves that we have going on here. We have Chekhov's lighter, which apparently can light up the entire wing of a fucking house.
Entire. Like, that lighter.
Entire house.
I've never seen such a lighter.
No,
Never.
it glows. It's like a fucking spotlight. And then later we will learn that there's Chekhov's puddle in the basement.
Yes.
It's very important, but you don't know why quite yet.
Right.
Turns out you don't have to wait that long for the puddle because it claims the life of a Con Ed worker who gets electrocuted to death by working on their little junction box.
Right.
And nobody's particularly put out about it. I mean,
It happens.
who among us has not had a repairman just die in your house?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I
What do you
have
do?
one. I have one I haven't cleaned up just from today. So
If you don't get to them right away, it starts to stack up. It's like a cat's litter box.
Yep.
You say, "Oh, I'm going to get to that tomorrow," and then
Exactly.
you wait 2 days, and oh fuck, you're in a mountain of shit.
Been there.
Here's another thing that happens when Christy arrives at the house that it turned out to be an ongoing concern. And that is when Christy shows up into a room, she's automatically shushed by somebody. Here, it is Christy's mom. She goes, shh.
Yeah.
It's
it
her
was
fucking
rude.
house.
Yeah, it was
Like-
rude. It was dismissive. I didn't like it.
But apparently everyone knows that if Christy's entering a room, she's going to, I don't know, say the wrong thing or get in the way of everyone else's. Half the police department are fucking there
Right.
for this guy.
Yeah.
That everyone agrees is an accident.
Right. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's very interesting. I have to ask my co-host a question for one moment because I
Yes?
want to know if this drove you as insane as it drove me. The music that told me I was watching some sort of rom-com or fairy tale, but I
Oh,
was
the
watching a
music.
horror movie. Like,
I wrote
am I-
down the soundtrack and the music 8,000 times.
As did
Oh,
I,
yeah.
and I fucking knew it. I was like, Kim and I are literally writing at the exact same time right now. I can feel it in my bones. What the fuck is this music?
I've got so many things about the music.
That my two favorite moments. And if you caught the credits, the music was composed by one John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin.
What?
The bassist
What?
for Led
Yes.
fucking Zeppelin.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
He
What?
composed the music, and the love song about Christy at the end is sung by John Anderson of Yes. So it's like a prog rock, classic rock collaboration.
I'm so upset.
Gina, what are you saying to me right now?
I'm so upset. I
The
literally
owner
wrote down
of
that
A
like
Lonely Heart sung that love song. And the bassist of Led Zeppelin created not one, not two, but three different I'm chasing a car on my bike themes.
Yes.
And they all sort of sound like Starsky and Hutch 70s cop show music.
yeah, they sounded like Batman but played by a jazz band. Like the Batman theme. It kept going like da da. Like I literally
Yes.
stolen, but played by a
Wow.
5-horn jazz band.
Yes.
Wow.
There's a lot of odd brass work happening
Yes.
here. It's almost like it's a Shaft spinoff that you're unaware of. It's like,
Yep.
wait, is there a Shaft spinoff where Nancy Drew has I'm a horny virgin energy? Yes. It's called Scream for Help.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, Patrick. I'm confused now because Nancy Drew is all horny energy from what I've read. I mean,
Yeah.
those are horny books.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just how I read them.
Well, listen, the hidden staircase isn't just about a hidden staircase, if you know what I mean.
Am I right?
Picking up on putting down. I didn't put it down. Patrick put it down.
Whoever put it down, we need to pick back up again because
But yeah, going back to the music, and then they have this love story. We're jumping way ahead here with Christy and her soon-to-be deceased friend's boyfriend, who is played by Corey Parker, which I wrote down. The poor man's Patrick Dempsey, who at the time was the poor man's Matthew Broderick. I don't know if I don't know if either of you both seem pretty young to me, so I don't know if you know that whole
Aren't you
era.
sweet?
So I don't know if I'm dropping references to when Patrick Dempsey way before he was Dr. McDreamy was kind of this really nerdy kind of
I've seen
like I said like poor man's Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
Corey
get the Matthew
Parker was
Broderick.
the poor man's version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was weird casting because he was such an asshole that but he also I felt that I was supposed to be. We're talking about Josh Dealey, right? Is that who we're talking
Right.
about? I felt like the movie is trying to tell me to like him, be on his
Right.
side.
Yeah, he wasn't meant to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, he looks like he's about 15 in this,
Right.
which is weird because the actress playing her best friend looks like she's about 35.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
So
100%.
when you see them in bed together, because Christy just barges into people's bedrooms like it's nothing.
I wrote that too. She's all mad that her friend's boning somebody
And
in
she-
her
and
own
she just-
goddamn bedroom.
And she just standing there looking at them. And it's just, well, that's weird. Why are you doing that? And you're supposed to get the idea, she's mad because her friend is losing her virginity. And it's like, well, you still need to turn around and walk out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for a quick second, it's like, is this her friend's mom? What is happening here?
Yeah.
That was very weird.
But he's written like he's this like sexual dynamo / like tough guy who defends her from these bullies in school, and they skulk away. And he's about maybe 5'7", maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe about 140 pounds. We're like, all right, man, we're just messing with her, okay? You know, and it's like, this isn't the actor you had in mind when you created this character, was it?
Not at all.
It's a very weird casting. And he's such a angry dweeb out of nowhere, and he's so sullen. At one point, Christy, who runs into every fucking scene, she runs at a dead goddamn sprint into every scene. Like The Flash has fewer scenes of The Flash running than this movie.
Yeah. But here's what I found weird, Patrick. Yes, runs into every scene, but any other marker of urgency of any kind, your mom's being murdered by your stepdad, your friend was just killed, like any other sense of urgency, she does not possess.
No.
She's a terrible, I'm just going to say, she's a terrible heroine.
Oh, yeah.
I was not rooting for her at any point. I mean, obviously, I don't want to see somebody get murdered, but I was not with her on this journey.
Yeah, she's a real narcissist.
Mm-hmm. She's single-minded to the point where her friend desperately needs to talk to her, and she uses the phrase, "Not now. Nothing's more important than this."
Right.
Nothing is more important than my catching my stepfather cheating on my mother.
Which seems to happen every fucking day. So if it doesn't happen today, you could, I don't know, wait until tomorrow.
Right.
Every day. Yeah.
Every single
and
day.
then her friend dies and she doesn't care. Couldn't
Does
care less.
not
No one
care.
cares. No one shed a single
No,
tear.
everyone
Not
seems
a
to
bit.
move on, but two people at school. The two people at school very much care. And they refer to their cross-examination of Christine or Christina or Christy as razzing her, which I don't know that I would call "you got your best friend killed" razzing necessarily.
Right.
But
that was that whole fight was frustrating as well from like a filmmaking standpoint, where I was just like, this was like the first rehearsal of a staged scene that like nobody fully understood their blocking. Nobody like knew when it was time for them to push the other person.
There was no fight choreographer on this.
None.
No.
None at all.
They were
Nuts.
just like, okay, stand here, and then we're gonna come close to you, and then we'll move you a little bit, and that's a punch.
Not since
Exactly.
the original Friday the 13th in the third act, where you're watching a middle-aged woman and a 25-year-old have a shove you, push me, pull you act.
Yes.
For the entirety of it. Has there been is such a lack of fight coordinator on set been such a massive problem?
Well, the entire scene is set up to show that Josh is a nice guy and he cares about her.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any sense. We've never seen these characters before.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Chrissy to already be back in school the day after seeing her best friend get killed right in front of her.
No.
Which is a weird thing we've seen that before, Patrick, in a lot of movies where someone is murdered and everybody just goes to school the next day.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
It's
crazy.
that's always so weird to me because that would not happen in real life.
Ironically, she didn't go to school any other day, though. She cut school every single day, over and over again.
So right.
Except
Kim.
the day after her best friend died.
Yeah.
And also everybody is talking about this like they saw what happened.
yeah.
You know, like, I'm not sure where they got the idea that somehow it was your fault that she got killed. I mean,
Right.
technically, it kind of was.
I mean, it 100% was like,
but
for
also,
sure.
but also, how would they know that?
Right. Right.
Maybe they just know Christy more than we know Christy. Even though we see a lot of her up until that point, she's in almost every scene of the movie.
Can we
Right.
talk about the scene where Josh's dad is also the police commissioner?
Oh my God! Yes.
This whole scene that seemed like it was written by aliens.
Yeah. Yeah.
because she's like, you want to see me? He's like, you might be the worst kid I've ever dealt with. Oh, really? Police commissioner?
Yeah,
this is the worst kid you've ever dealt with.
That was that made the environment of the movie like too small for me. Like that's one of the things that my husband and I hate when we watch things where it's like every single person in the movie has a connection to every other person in the movie, and you're like, that's just not how life works. Like,
right, and New Rochelle is a pretty big city. It's not likely that the same four people are all going to know each other.
Yeah,
and all be part of the same little circle.
Exactly,
and certainly it wouldn't be so small that Christy's mother would be telling someone that she's gone to therapy.
Right.
And he's just telling her this, sitting in a chair, knees spread nice and wide open, and just kind of rocking back and forth in his chair. And it's like,
he was practically laying down.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Why? I felt like if the scene had gone on another minute, he was going to proposition her so we could forget all about this little incident.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is this? What is the motivation, the direction that was given to this character to sort of, silently proposition her at the same time? Well, you're a liar, and your mom says you're crazy, and I'm not going to do anything to help you with this. And, somehow you're a terrible person, and it's like, you're a terrible police commissioner.
Yeah, and along with the misogyny of the movie, the sort of like discounting someone for taking care of their mental health was so pointed. Like it was so like, you are discredited because you're crazy. And it's like,
it's not even that. She went to therapy because she had trouble with her parents' divorce.
Right. Which is like, who hasn't?
That's an obvious defect in her character, Gina. Most of us shrug that off.
Yeah, of course. Now, that being said, here's what I will say. Christy, whatever the fuck.
All of those.
Yeah. She is fully insane, completely mentally unstable.
Sure.
Totally.
But not in the way the movie.
But not in the way that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's a narcissist. You already said so. She's a narcissist.
Exactly. And the other thing that really upset me that I was like, I need to assure Kim of something when I talk to her. If I see someone that you are dating flirting with someone openly and aggressively, I will not use that as blackmail for that person. I will fucking tell you about it because I'm not an actual monster posing as your best friend.
Thank you so much.
You mean you're not going to use it for Uber credit as she does?
Like what the fuck? Like she's like, I'm like, you should go tell your best friend that her boyfriend is an actual monster.
Yeah. At one point I was like, I can't believe that Police Commissioner Male Pattern Baldness and Josh Dealey are in the same family. But they're both kind of in the same family.
Yes,
like
they
they're both
are.
dismissive
100%.
of anything anyone tells them, and they're just like, "Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're obsessed." Blah blah blah. And she is all that, but she's also right. And when her best friend dies, it's kind of proof that something's going on, and everyone else takes it as proof that, oh no, she's just crazy. That's not how this works. That's not how anything works.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag listen to women is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yes. A strangely prescient title. And I'm going to pat myself on the back like any man would. Oh, that's not good. That's not what I wanted. Oh,
let's change the subject and talk about that car scene. Where we discover that the young actress playing Christy is not very convincing at being scared.
No.
And also that a tiny little spring getting loose in your carburetor can make your brakes fail, make your gas pedal stick, and make your steering wheel lock.
Well, they turn off the car. So that is the one thing that does happen. If you turn off your car, at that time, the power would go off to your steering wheel.
Yeah, no, but this happened before because he's like slow down. I can't slow down. The gas pedal's stuck. Hit the brakes. The brakes are cut. Pull it over the curb. The steering wheel's locked.
Right. So wait, I have a question about cars.
Sure.
They don't do that.
But thank
There
you.
you go.
Not to cut you off, but cars don't
they
work
don't
that
do
way.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm very afraid that I'm about to sound like truly the biggest idiot that shouldn't be on the road, which Kim knows is true. But
Fair.
isn't that what an emergency brake is for? To pull the emergency
You could do that,
brake?
or you could also put it into fucking neutral and just
Okay.
glide to a goddamn stop.
Right, but I'm correct in saying that like the emergency brake isn't connected to the foot brake.
No,
Otherwise,
it's a
it
separate.
wouldn't be an
It's a separate
Okay.
piece of machinery. Usually, I think
Okay.
modern cars have them more in line, but of course, modern cars have more ways for you to avoid this situation than what we see
Exactly.
on display here. And of course,
Okay.
what we learn at one point is that the Cromwell family apparently owns the New Rochelle mile of cars or whatever the fuck, because when Paul Fox married Christie's mom, he became the head used car salesman of all of New Rochelle, which is
Right.
why I guess everyone knows who he is and his giant luminous lighter.
Of course, of course.
And again, I mean, New Rochelle is a large city. I don't know that being a used car salesman will make you a prominent citizen of the town.
But what if you're stuffing all of the available ladies in town, like a Brenda Bowl?
Brenda Bowl.
Who dresses like she's a member of the Avengers.
Exact. And here's the thing, guys. I have a confession. I had a little bit of a boner for Brenda Bowles. I thought she was like
hot.
She owns it.
She reminded me of what's her face from The Hidden.
Yes. Oh my God,
Claudia
yes.
Claudia Christian.
Claudia Christian, and from Babylon
Yeah,
5. Yeah.
She reminded me a lot of her. And then there was her husband brother Lacey, who I wrote down as a Burlington Coat Factory John Turturro.
Yes. 100.
I've rarely seen someone who has a soul patch on his Adam's apple, and yet he does. It's a very unique
Just-
look.
oh my
Constantly
god.
sweating, constantly
Yeah.
sweating.
The whole thing was god damn it. That's all.
That's
I
a
have to
really
say.
long con that they were pulling too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like,
A
we're gonna
really
pretend
long
to be
con.
brother and sister. You're gonna have an affair with this rich guy who you'll be able to somehow convince him to kill his wife.
Yes.
Then I guess we'll blackmail him.
Yeah, I was confused about
Yeah.
how they
And-
get the money in the end.
Right.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's a very long, complicated con.
It almost more feels like Brenda wanted to sleep with Paul Fox and reverse engineered the murder plot to help her do that while the other Bowl is in the house, while Lacey is around, because that's her thing. Otherwise,
Oh.
I'd like some sort of long con cuckolding action
Yeah.
happening here.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. Like maybe Brenda is the brains behind all of this.
Oh, she clearly is. She clearly
She
is.
has the most out of everyone in the entire movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the three of them together at the end of the movie make maybe one thinking person.
Also, Kim, I noticed you had this question as well. Did I miss why the murder had to happen after 2 a.m.?
Well, that's burglar o'clock.
Burglar.
Everybody knows that burglars do not break into houses until after 2 o'clock.
It's the only way it was
agreed
believable.
upon in the burglar code.
It's a gentleman's game, the burglary biz. And
Right. Apologies. I was not. I should have studied burglar code before I came on.
in New Rochelle, the purge begins at 2 a.m. So before that,
Sure.
you don't want to be caught out dead killing somebody before the
Sure.
clock strikes 2. That's just not done. That's not how we do things around here.
Of course. And again, my apologies for not knowing.
One thing we missed in the previous scene where we discover that Jamie's now totally doing it with boys is that they go downstairs to the kitchen and Josh Daly begins by picking up all these loose wedges of chocolate and eating them with an entire jar of peanut butter.
Yes.
In a manner that suggests it's the only thing that can feed his libido. He stuffs I thought, oh my God, he's going to double dip. No, because he's taking entire wedges of chocolate and stuffing it all into his mouth and doing lines in the movie. So we get to hear that. That's fun.
I loved that peanut butter scene.
Katrin has a small obsession.
I have like an actual, this is embarrassing. Like I am an addict. I have an actual peanut butter problem.
Is this
And
why
so
you're
it's-
so into peanut butter whiskey? Is that feeding
Yeah.
into that? Okay.
Yeah, that's how it started.
Yeah. It's to like my husband has to like hide it and stuff. Like I can't have it in the house, but I can't like his idea to use that fucking chocolate as some sort of spoon or vehicle for the peanut butter, but then it's also chocolate. Guys, it blew my mind. And
I thought about you.
I did get something out of the. You did?
I thought
Kim?
about
You thought
you.
about me?
It's like, wow, she's really gonna like that. This is gonna be the highlight of the movie for her.
It really was. It really was. It was just. It was a beautiful moment in a dumpster fire.
I'm glad that we're all finding these moments of zen within the movie. For me, my favorite character, I think in the entire thing, is Marty, the guy who embarrassed Paul Fox last time. He appears to look like Avery Schreiber trying to get a mortgage extension from the bank. That is the oldest reference I think I've ever made on this show. And that's saying something.
Yeah. Even I'm like, wow. Stunning.
Listen, Doritos spokespeople mean a lot to me. So,
Oh, well, you can join my inappropriate food obsession support group that I run.
now we're two. We
Great.
build from there. We learn a lot of different things in this early section of the movie. One is that Paul Fox drives a Dodge Laser.
Oh, is that a bad car? Is that not good? Is that
It's a famous car for not selling well at the time. It was a giant bust, as it were. They thought that was going to be a very manly car. So I'm sure they thought at the time, oh, this is going to go through the roof.
well with a name like Laser?
Yeah.
How can you go wrong?
And then the Bowl residence has a lot of loose fish aquariums in their yard, which I enjoyed.
Which she
wrote that
tripped over?
down. Yes. And who I think she was like standing on it, like to see into the window.
She
But I'm
stands
like,
on a lot
who's-
of things in the yard to see in windows. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? That is absolutely not the thing you would choose to stand on. Like, there was plenty of garbage in that yard that she could have like brought something over and stood on something that wasn't very flimsy glass.
Yes.
Well, you know what else most people wouldn't do? They wouldn't hold up a camera, shove it in the
my
window, and have the flash on while you're trying
Right?
to take you're trying to covertly take a picture of someone.
I was so angry about that. So angry.
I was willing Paul and Brenda, who are of course are going at it. I'm like, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. Just look up for a half a second.
It was
Half a
Look up
second.
for just a half a second. How are you not seeing this? How are you not seeing human hands holding up a Polaroid in your window?
Yeah, they're-
inside your window.
Inside the
Moving
window.
Around the window to inside in front of your face.
And they're facing it
Infuriating.
directly. Both of them are facing in the direction of the camera.
Looking right at it.
How would they miss it? You don't need a light meter in there. It's plenty of light.
I
mean-
am blind as a bat without glasses, and I would still see that.
I mean, I guess Paul Fox is a real bonanza in the bedroom. You know, she just was distracted.
Yeah.
He was in the zone.
Also, this was like how many times in has she caught them at this point? I was wondering, does she not have a camera? Like, I was like, why wasn't a camera the first tactic she used?
Yes.
It took
Exactly.
4 or 5 viewings to be like, I'm gonna get a Polaroid of this so people believe me.
She is a real, at first you don't succeed, try various different bad ideas first and then
Right, yeah.
round it off with a good idea, but then execute it in the craziest fucking fashion possible.
She also, with that camera, when she was stuck in the bathtub thing, the bathtub. Okay, so the camera has a strap,
Yeah.
like any good Polaroid camera did. At a certain point, the water gets turned on by Brenda Bowles.
Yes.
Christy does this. she takes the strap off and puts the camera down where the water will soon consume it.
Yes.
She took it off her body to put it into the water.
Yeah. Well, otherwise she would be weighed down by all pound and a half of that camera, and she would not be able to crawl into the corner. She doesn't even actually raise out of the tub at all.
No.
It's not like, oh, I make sure my shoes don't get wet. Her shoes get wet. So I'm not sure what the plan is here, other than she's just waiting for her opportunity to sprint, because she sprints into a lot of scenes, but there are many times when she should run, she decides to walk. And anytime you would normally walk, she's fucking running like Mark goddamn Spitz. That's a swimmer. That doesn't make sense. That's my Mark Spitz joke.
He runs through the water.
Yes, like a real Flash. At a certain point in that whole kerfluffle, they basically lay out exactly what this deal is. I'm sleeping with you, but once I kill the wife, then and the daughter, then I can inherit everything, and then somehow you'll get a piece of it. I guess they're on a work share. I'm not sure how it would work. I'm not into contract law when it comes to murder.
Yeah, I think that was what I got, but it's like, I guess.
Like he just seems to be like, you have to accept that in order for this to work, that Paul just has to be sort of okay with this brother, quote, brother, just hanging around all the time. And in the house when they're having sex, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like, everybody in this movie gotta have it. And it's just like, it doesn't matter if someone's walking in on you.
Yeah.
Like, there's like at one point where Christy comes home and her mom and Paul Fox are going at it.
Yeah.
Like, their door is wide fucking open. You know?
And then she runs to her room and doesn't close her door either.
No.
And
Like,
they get
I can
louder.
hear it. Yes.
Her hands are what's protecting her ears. She doesn't want to deal with doors. Her hands are more reliable.
Like, it's almost like, oh, Christy's home. Let's amp it up a little bit. You fucking weirdos. You know?
Yeah. Well, also, speaking of sex, did anyone else catch that, like, out of total nowhere, Paul Fox made fun of Christy by saying, "What are you writing in your journal? Life and times of a teenage sex maniac?"
I'm not. If that's an attempt at humor, it didn't land. And
it's also prior to her being caught fucking Josh.
Yeah, but I guess she's just delivering that much energy. I think they wrote a script
With all her sweater vests, you mean? Her constant sweater vesting? She's a real sex maniac.
At one point, she returns home from school and she has an undershirt, a collared shirt, the sweater vest, a denim vest. She's wearing shorts with knee socks. Mm-hmm. It's she's a knight in a knight suit of armor, but it's all breathable fabrics.
Yeah. She was
80s
never
clothes.
not wearing what I just messed myself up because I don't know. I got too many knots. She was always wearing at least 3 shirts at one time.
Yeah.
Never
She's
less
very
than
buttoned
3.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She loved a layer.
Also, for like the first 25 minutes of the movie, I thought she was the actress who plays Piper on Charmed.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, but then I did the math and realized that would not have worked out.
Yeah,
But does
I
anyone
can
else
see
think
it.
she
I
looks
can
like
see
her?
it.
Do you know who I'm talking
They have
about?
very similar
Okay.
facial
Yeah.
structures. Weirdly enough, we just talked about Dr. Giggles.
Yes.
Where we see Piper from Charmed. She's the final girl in that movie. It's a great
no
movie.
shit.
I won't give it away, but it's a super fun movie. Like, you'll be surprised at how well it is photographed.
Well-
it's such a better movie than this.
Right. I mean, it's not better than this, though. So
It's a genuine good movie. It's not Patrick
it's
finds
certainly-
this fun good movie. Yeah.
It's certainly
Right.
you know, a
Yeah.
little less disturbingly sexual than this movie is.
Well, at one point, Gina, a 8-year-old crawls out of his dead mother's womb.
You said you were going to spoil it.
Whoops. He doesn't have his 2 front teeth. That's also a nice point of departure for you guys. So you have that to look forward to.
wow.
You'll never forget it.
Well,
but
now I'm
apparently
very-
both Gina and I
No.
did until we sat down to watch Dr. Giggles.
Psychologically blocked it out. Probably like you're going to do with this movie after you get done talking about it.
I'm psychologically blocking out one specific scene, and that is when she fucks
Yeah.
fucking Josh Dealey. Like, that was the most upsetting thing I've ever seen.
I
in my life.
just cringed at
It
how long
was-
it took him to stop and say, "Are you all right?"
Yeah,
What do you think
No, Josh.
is happening?
No, Josh, she's not all right.
it was. And, like, I feel her where she was like, I don't think I'm ever going to have sex ever again. I was like, based on that experience, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I mean, they do get that it's not particularly pleasant for girls the first time. I mean, granted, you're
Sure.
aren't just pumping out gallons of blood afterwards. And I think she really needed to go
Right.
see, a doctor about
A
that. I mean, it's-
doctor. I'm really glad you said something, Gina, because I was like, listen, I don't want to, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know how this works. But yeah,
that's
that was
a lot of
blood,
for that
right?
particular activity. Yeah, it's something got broken, and she needs to go. She needs medical attention immediately.
She needs
And
an
so she
orange,
just-
something to
she-
build her
100%.
blood back up. That
She's just
we lost a
standing
lot.
there, like
Right,
arguing
right.
with Paul with this like sheet wrapped around her, and just like Oh, by the way, also, are there commonly gas lines in a bathroom?
In the
would
Cromwell
you need-
Mansion, apparently.
Why would you?
I-
Why would you need a gas line in a bathroom?
I didn't understand what was going on there.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
No, I didn't either. But I also, like, I'm not a homeowner, so I was like, I don't know, maybe?
This
But
is the way
I've
they
never
build
seen that
mansions
before.
in New Rochelle. It doesn't really look like a set. It looks like that is a house because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of. It doesn't look. It doesn't look new. It looks very like they found a house that
Right.
has these components to it.
Yeah.
That basement
Yeah.
looks real.
That makes a lot
That
of sense.
house looks real, and they filmed in a real house. So that
Yeah,
bathroom
yeah.
has this massive gas portal above the bathtub. Okay.
That was insane. It was for the hugeness of the house and for like how wealthy they're supposed to be. I'm like, this is
Yeah,
kind
it's
of a
it's
shithole.
it's really
you're-
decorated in a tacky way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like silk flower
Yeah.
displays and all.
Yeah.
And you really only get to see like 3 rooms. You get the living room, you briefly get the kitchen, you get Christy's room, and you get the basement.
Yeah.
We will become intimately familiar
The
with this
basement.
basement.
Yeah, right around the third time they are
Yeah.
forced into the basement, I'm like, okay, we understand a basement exists. This isn't like, oh, like Superman, you will
Right.
believe a man can fly. Like, yeah, I believe houses
When
can have
they're-
basements. We don't have to expand upon this.
And they're in the
course.
basement after a woman who already has a cast on her leg is thrown down a flight of cement stairs and then just gets up and kind of rubs her arm a little bit.
and she literally fell like neck first.
She was like bent in half at the bottom of the stairs, and then it
Yeah.
cuts away and it cuts back to her. She's like, I'm all right.
I thought that was like a murder right there. I was like, oh, well, they've done her in.
It would have
I
been
do
in
too.
real life.
The stunt women in this movie earned their fucking paychecks because that staircase
They
did not
really
look
did.
padded.
No,
So,
no, it
hats
didn't.
off.
There was also, this is like later and it's not a plot point. It was just something that really bothered me. And we're talking about stairs and the mom and the cast and everything. So at the very end, she is ushered up the basement stairs pretty quickly. Like she's putting a lot of
Yeah.
weight on that very fresh break. And she's like kind of goes pretty quickly up the stairs. And then they're about to take them up to the upstairs where the bedrooms are, and that stupid Lacey guy is like, no, that'll take too long to get her up the stairs with her bum leg or whatever. And I'm like, she literally just ran up a flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Literally just ran up a flight of stairs.
If it's in the
That was
script,
infuriating
they
to me.
decided we're just going to say these lines, but they're not connected to the reality they're living in.
Yes.
And Michael Winner
No.
just doesn't seem to fucking care. He's just very interested in
Not at
out of
all.
control car sequences and how fast, Christy can throw her bike to the ground.
Right.
And a lot of nudity that isn't particularly necessary for anything in this movie.
Not even slightly. Yeah.
It's just overly horny and underly presented. But
Correct.
I love that. Overly
Yes.
horny, underly presented.
it comes at you from both angles and then they meet. But then again, it is a movie that is seriously fucking wild. Like, that police commissioner male pattern baldness scene where he's sitting with the sort of, his knees could not be farther apart unless he was in a yoga pose.
I mean, like father, like son,
He
am
was
I right?
really trying to take up space.
Yes. Yeah, and he doesn't
Exactly,
listen,
right.
and Josh Dealey doesn't listen.
You are right.
And nobody is listening except for the two other people in the movie that shush Christy out of nowhere, including in the library at school. Just a girl we never see again walks across screen, goes, shh, at the... What the fuck? They're having a perfectly moderately toned conversation here.
Yeah, just nobody wants to hear what Christy has to say.
I don't know that they should, because she can't listen when her friend is trying to tell her, I'm pregnant. We're 17. This is a
Pregnant.
big fucking deal. And
Pregnant.
as you guys said,
Yeah.
the response is, nothing is a bigger deal than catching Paul Fox fucking the woman that he fucks every goddamn day.
Every day. Also, you need to see it with your eyeballs because that's the only way everyone will believe me. Although I have a Polaroid camera apparently at home, but I will not use that yet.
Yeah, it's just
I-
bananas.
Let me go look at them first, and then I'll come get you, and then you come with me to go look. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah, I like how she carefully sneaks up to go peek in the window. Of course, again, not really peeking, just kind of standing in front of the window and looking in.
Yes.
You know,
Clear
not
view.
like crouched down or anything like most normal people would
Clear
be.
view.
And then she gets about 6 feet away and yells out the friend's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christy was just bad at it.
Yeah.
Just bad. What is it? Life, finding a murderer, finding a boyfriend, she's just bad at all of it. Just
I
terrible.
mean, the crazy thing is, her suspicion is my stepdad is trying to kill my mom. And she's right.
Yes.
And she's right about a lot of things and yet cannot fucking pull this off. She brings this friend, I guess, to be a witness for the fucking, the ABC mystery movie this week. And they fuck that up so badly that Paul Fox just walks out of the door, sees the two of them, takes off after them in a full sprint, and Paul Fox smashes into this motel maid's cart so hard that a shoe flies off of his foot.
Yes.
No, I
kid
didn't
you
see
not.
that.
His left shoe just flies off like it's a NASCAR crash, and it's a tire.
Did he keep running? He kept running, right? Did he not go back in? Like, I missed that.
He books it down the stairs after the two of them, and they manage to jerk out of the way of the maid's cart, and just like a banana stand in the middle of some sort of Keystone Cops sequence, he slams straight into it, topples over, and his loafer just goes. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes, that was
That poor woman.
beautiful. It was a beautiful shot.
It really is.
Do you know that they had to say, okay, this is the shoe shot, take one. Like, they had to sit down and film that. They
Yeah.
had to go through the process of that. Yet there's so
Right.
many other things that they never seem to went through the process of
No.
considering.
Was the shoe, and granted, I didn't catch this. Could it have been one of those happy accidents where they were like, it wasn't meant to happen, but they were like, this is the shot? Like when, do you guys, I almost said, do you remember the movie Titanic?
No, no.
I'm
I
pretty
recall-
sure
I
y'all
recall the
remember
name.
movie
Titanic. Okay. Sure.
Right. Yeah, right. So there is a famous story where when the ship is tipping up, someone falls and he bounces off the propeller, and it's pretty centered in the shot. So that actually happened and wasn't supposed to. That stunt guy broke like 100% of his body. And everyone was like, oh shit, I think that guy's dead. He wasn't. But James Cameron's response was, did you guys get that shot? And he fucking put it in the movie. So I'm wondering if this loafer fiasco was just the happy accident of the day. And everyone was just like, wow, the movie gods are in our corner.
Is the check the gate. Moving on.
The gate. Got it in one. Yeah.
Oh, man. At one point, police commissioner male pattern baldness says like, well, Christy's like, well, we went to the hotel. Did you see if he checked in? And he's like, no one writes their real name when they go to that place.
Oh yeah. In classic like slasher movie cop fashion, we ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah. Like you have no evidence. Well, why don't you check evidence? I'm not going to check for evidence.
We have determined that you are lying, and we will not change our opinion until the end of the movie.
Yeah, that was some shoddy police work for sure.
Yeah, we have seen some wackadoo policing in our time, particularly in the Crystal Lake PD era of our show. Mm-hmm. But this might take the cake. This might be right up there with the Nightmare on Elm Street, where a guy just throws up in the bathroom because the coroner's not there yet. It's a real thing that happens.
Sure.
I missed one element of Christy's bedroom. She has a really sweet Universal Studios bumper sticker. It's great.
Oh.
I guess, guests of Scream for Help are stay at the Universal Studios Sheraton. Ride the movies. It finally comes to a head where she gets this Polaroid, and by hook or by crook, Lacey decides, I have to break up my wife and the guy she's fucking so we can become millionaires. And he gives her this Polaroid, and she runs her ass home. Paul Fox literally pins her up against the wall before Mom goes, what the hell's going on? And then she goes, here's this Polaroid. And the mom looks at it, and Paul Fox says, it's not what it looks like. What the fuck else could it look like?
I actually really wanted him to answer. Like, I wanted everyone to just stay quiet and just let him just see what hole he's going to dig. Like, I really wanted to know what he was going to say. Also, at that exact moment, Christy has finally achieved her goal. Her objective is complete, and she just walks upstairs.
She's booking leaves. It out of there. Listen, I ruined this marriage. See y'all later.
My work here is done.
Job well done. I'll be in my room. I've got a John Denver record to listen to. Oh, man. But basically, Mom kicks out Paul Fox, and then Christy runs back down the stairs. And they're like, Mom just wants to be alone. And then night comes, and I looked at the meter, and it said there was 45 minutes left in the movie.
I think I did that multiple times.
Oh my God, yeah.
There were so many times I was like, what else could possibly happen? How has it not been 5 hours yet? It feels 5 hours.
The first half hour is so full of information that you're like, it can't keep up this pace. And you're right, it can't. The back 45 minutes becomes a siege picture where they're trying to fend off the Bowles and Paul Fox from killing them at 2 a.m.
It was also, so Kim and I, when we watch movies, it takes us a long time to watch whatever movie we're doing for the episode. Sometimes 4 or 5 hours, depending on how long the movie is, because we have to start and stop and take notes and stuff. And I said to Eric before starting this movie, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to just watch a horror movie all the way through. Just watch it. And I ended up having the exact same fucking experience where I'm looking to see how much is left, and I wasn't even taking notes on it.
Yeah, I definitely did a double take. I'm like, wait, does that say 50 minutes left?
Painful.
Unbelievable. And the crazy thing is that the rest of the movie is not very plot heavy.
It's just them. It's them arguing. It's them. It's the Bowles and Paul Fox arguing. Paul Fox finding out that they're actually husband and wife. And I love the way they trick them. They trick them into admitting that they're husband and wife. So how long have you been married? What? What do you mean married? We're not married. Sweat bees. You know, I mean,
You really got me.
You are smooth as hell, Lacey. Smooth as hell.
Well, this is after they pass the ketchup in such a way as you would think that they are giving it a hand job. And that's when a light bulb...
The ketchup handoff. The ketchup
handoff is so wrought with sexual tension, like every other frame of the movie, that finally a light bulb goes off over Paul Fox's head, and he's like, well, I got to figure out if this is really happening. And then he goes and grabs Christy to make pancakes. And somehow that's going to help him ask the question,
right? Are
you two married? Like, you didn't need her for that.
No, not at all. And like, I just, the plans that people made in this movie were so, even to the police commissioner who was like, I'm going to investigate this case by not seeking evidence. Like, everybody's plan was just so ill-conceived.
It's an object permanence thing. If it's not happening right in front of them, there's no way it could be happening.
Right. So they're toddlers, basically.
Yes, basically, yes. And we get to see 5 toddlers have an extended fight over 3 levels of a house for 45 minutes.
And over again. Like, they were waiting till 2 a.m. and I felt like I was waiting till 2 a.m. too. Like, we really...
Oh, yeah, it definitely felt like real time after that point.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like
I just wanted to show up. Like, I just wanted to leave the bar. The bar's closed.
Yeah.
I know we touched on this a little, but like this, I think there was a moment where I was like, we've talked about what a monster multiple people in this movie are, but when her best friend died, okay, Ketrin and I are best friends, so like we have a lot of that talk within movies, you know what I mean? And the doctor who told everyone that, he literally walks out of a room and he says, I'm sorry your daughter died. That is how he told the parents. And then Christy's reaction is her best friend who really, it's her fault. Her reaction is,
yeah, 100%.
Now I don't have anyone to back up my story. And I was like, you monster.
It was.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Josh just kind of looking in the background, kind of just like his team lost the big game.
Yes.
He just kind of like, oh well. Shit happens.
Shrugs it off. Yeah. And then there's a moment. The next moment between them is like there's a moment where they're sitting at her house at a bench under the stairs or something. It's like their first kiss that comes out of nowhere. Yeah. Like I was like, when were you two even kind of attracted to each other? But like basically he's like, well, the person I was fucking died, and she's like, yeah, that was my best friend, so I guess we'll kiss. But like no signs were like kiss me. Like it was just like we're sitting next to each other, so I guess I'll shove my tongue down your throat.
No, it is perfect fuckboy attitude. It is crazy. And at one point he says, well, we were sitting so close. She was already sitting down, dumbass. You sat down close to
oh my
her.
God, I had
It's
that
not
same
like,
thought.
Why are you leading me on with your bench sitting? What the fuck are we doing here? You just lost your girlfriend.
Rageful.
I had a lot of like visceral reactions to like losing best friends, and I was just like, I would have burned the entire town of New Rochelle like to the fucking ground. And Christy was like mildly inconvenienced by her best
she was
friend
hugely
dying
inconvenienced
in her arms.
by her not being able to back up her story, but in any other way didn't give a fuck. No one gave a tear. No one cared at all.
Yeah, apparently, like her mom. Just,
not a single
tear. We're gonna go to Rotary Club dance.
Yes!
I know your best friend just died horribly right in front of you, but we gotta go schmooze.
Listen, that's not something you can cancel on, Gina. If you book yourself into the Rotary Club dance, you had better go.
Yeah, come on, Gina.
If mom's got to show off her boy toy second husband.
Oh yeah, she does.
Right.
And who wouldn't? He looks great in a tux. This is also the moment it's revealed that he has manipulated that heater in her bathroom to kill her. And when he
Right.
discovers Josh Dealey and her having sex, he forgets for a moment that he set her up to die. And he has to very quickly, but very awkwardly, take off the towel, relight the pilot light. It's like, at one point she calls him an incompetent murderer. And yes, it's kind of right. But he's also
Yeah.
killed successfully twice so
Yes.
far.
Right.
So
I mean, he might be.
is it
Right.
him that's incompetent?
He
or
might be an
you?
incompetent murderer.
Or
She's
both?
an incompetent detective.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a battle
But
between
also-
the immovable object and the unstoppable force of two incompetent people.
Yeah. It was that whole thing, like that whole thing of him like taking the scarf out and I was like, what's the point of this? Like your objective is still to kill her, no? Like,
Yes, yeah,
oh,
he
is it
didn't
just
wanna
that
be
the
there.
whole
I did-
house?
yeah.
Well, he
would
would
blow
have
up, I
he
guess.
would have
I
blown
don't-
up with it because he was standing. Because if she turns on the light and of course it sparks like fucking kisses being introduced onto stage.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen.
Oh
Yeah.
no, that happens in my bathroom
Another-
all the time. I just tell the kiddo, just like
Yeah,
do
I'm
it
not trying to
fast.
murder you. It's
Yeah.
fine.
But it's like,
Go to bed.
Yeah, like use your toothbrush, like that. Yeah,
there you go.
like that kid in Dr. Giggles fishes out a rubber
Don't
out of the
spoil
toilet
it
with
for
a
them,
toothbrush.
damn it.
I'm not
sorry.
gonna lie, she kind of had me in the beginning, detective wise, with the whole I'm gonna bike every day to the moment that I lose him. It was weird that he went the same place this every single day at the same time. That was weird,
Every
but I
single
was like,
day.
that's
Yeah.
not the worst idea. I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know why no one cares that you don't go to school and that like you crash cars and your mom doesn't give a fuck, but you know.
Right. Literally no. Oh, she also like crashed the car like in this really dramatic way. And she literally goes, you gotta be kidding me.
It's
And I
never
was like,
mentioned again.
No. Mom doesn't care.
No, because she takes it to the family's shop, and they just like, oh, here's the reason why you almost killed a dozen people, and no one mentions that this happened.
Never comes up
It's
again.
just like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Kim, I agree with you though that I was like, that's not like the worst plan, but then she also like
No, yeah.
doesn't hide.
No, she sure
at all.
doesn't.
Like
She
she's
sure
very
doesn't.
obviously
biking
Yeah.
away and then he sees in
like
the rearview
just,
mirror.
Yeah, at one point she's maybe
Yeah.
I don't know 10 yards behind him.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
all he has to do is
He's very
is look in his
unobservant.
rearview mirror and he'll see you right there.
Yeah.
like right there. Right there.
but
Identified by your sweater
but
vest.
weirdly, the fact that Paul Fox can't see shit reoccurs over and over again because much later he will be looking in the direction of a Polaroid camera while he is having sex,
Right.
and he just doesn't see it.
see it.
It just isn't
Doesn't
there.
see it.
So later on, when they start, turning off the lights to the place, like 3 separate times, this whole light gambit they tried to pull off, and when the lights go off, it is dark fucking
real
shadows
dark.
in this house.
Yeah. Really
It's
dark.
really dark.
No ambient light, nothing. Yeah. Thank God for that lighter.
Yes, which pays off. Weirdly enough, the lighter's gigantic, luminous flame does pay off.
It's
But
it's like when
fucking bananas.
Ellen Burstyn's looking at the candle in the attic and they got that big like plume of flame. It's like that, but all the time.
All the time.
yes.
Right.
Everywhere he goes, he can put that out in front of him. It's like a torch in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Just illuminate everything in front of him. Oh my God. So eventually the plan is revealed that Christy says to her mom, "Well, you know what? We're not getting out of this. We can't escape. The only way we're going to live is if I kill all 3 of these people." And at no point does the mom go, maybe we should try. What's plan B? Just like, all right, if
Right.
you're going to kill some people, I guess
Right.
I'm in.
Yeah, it was also just like such a convoluted plan. Like somehow, all of a sudden, Christy is a full-blown electrician.
Yeah, she learned
And, like,
it in
knows
shop
how to-
class,
Yeah, I know.
Which fuck you, movie.
All the girls made fun of me.
Come on.
I mean, to be honest, I still don't understand
Yeah.
the plan. I watched the movie and I still don't get it. I have no idea what the plan was.
Yeah, I can't. I can't understand.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the relevance of counting to 20, counting down from 20 was.
Well, so that they're both counting at the same time, so that she and mom both know when the lights are going to go out.
Right, but the mom will know when the lights go out
Okay.
because she will see them go out.
This is true, but the mom is turning off the lights. So her job is to turn off the lights. Christy's job is, once the lights go off, escape.
Also, I love that Christy suddenly becomes a forensic detective too. When she tells Brenda that she needs to go to the bathroom. Brenda says, "Oh, pee downstairs." She's like, "But the detectives will find traces of urine in the basement." It's like,
Yes!
no, they wouldn't. Christy, what are you even talking
Yeah.
about? They would not.
Christy, you've had interactions with these cops. They're not investigating shit.
They're gonna peek in
Not
your
at all.
bedrooms. They're gonna see you guys, murdered to death. They're gonna be like, "Well, case closed.
Yeah.
Let's sign off that insurance policy to Paul Fox."
You know what? Before we go, let's go down to the basement where absolutely nothing involving this case has happened, and let's just see if there's human urine down there.
You got the urinometer, right? You got it in the car. We might as well use it.
And Brenda's like, "You know what? That's fair. Just let her out of the basement."
Well, if you can convince Brenda, then she's got the finest mind of anyone on screen. So she buys it,
Yeah.
so we buy it. So when the
Right.
lights go off, Christy stabs Paul Fox near his cocks in the den. And thank
one.
you. And heads upstairs with Lacey and Paul Fox in hot pursuit. They send Brenda down to the basement to be electrocuted, but it doesn't happen yet. So
Right.
then they get shoved back in the fucking basement again. Meanwhile, who shows up at the house? It's our old pal, Josh Dealey.
1 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
1 in the
Yes.
morning.
Yes. I think if I had pulled this off in high school, I would have been kicked in the balls by someone. I would have been reprimanded. It would not have been tolerated. For some reason, Josh Dealey just acts like his dad's the police commissioner. Oh, shit.
Right.
I think that has something
Yeah,
to do
that
with
was.
it. But Josh Dealey is finally convinced by Christy to go away. But then the voiceover immediately comes back after being absent in the movie for a good 40 minutes. And she's like, "Josh, don't you understand? I really want you to know I'm in trouble." And like, when did this become a Southern Gothic all of a sudden?
Yeah. Just hoping that Josh would use his telepathy to know she
And
was
she
in trouble.
definitely made like no sign. She was
Bold move.
convincing in telling him to fuck off. To be honest, there was
Yes.
nothing in anything
Yeah.
she did or said that would make me think that. I mean, I guess he was like, I can't fathom
Yeah.
that she wouldn't be in love with me, so something must be wrong. That must have been the only reason.
That's right.
Sure.
Listen, anytime my penis has been near anyone, they've just fallen over themselves in love with it. She can't be the one exception.
Well, of course. I have a date with Josh Dealey later. I have to break it to my husband.
He's got
it.
that powerful sexual energy. I don't know how you can
He
resist
really does.
Right. But the angle, where how she was standing next to the door, because I actually thought this as we were watching, like,
Yes.
why is she not giving any
Yeah.
facial expression to, like, you
wink,
know what I mean?
wink,
Like,
something.
She was
Yeah, I
being
mean, or
really
she could have
convincing.
wink,
wink.
help me.
Yes, that's all the whole
Yeah.
time I was thinking
Right. Or, like, literally, yeah, like, how simple would it have been, like, your eye that isn't facing Lacey, just wink. Now y'all know something's up.
Just
Done.
one wink is all you need. But
Right.
somehow Josh Dealey gets the vibe
He knows.
and calls his dad. Meanwhile, back at the house, they decide to separate the two of them because, as you guys mentioned, they don't want to drag mom up the stairs with this Cass, so why not kill her in the den? And then Christy's like, "No, this is my last chance." And there's some sort of massive action hug that takes place.
Right. Where I was like, somebody has a gun. Why are you not just shooting the mom, like, right
Just
now?
shoot. Just shoot. Why
Yeah.
are we waiting for this magical 2 a.m.? But lo and behold, this is when the lights finally go out themselves because they've rigged the water line to drip over the junction box, and the lights finally fucking go out. And Christy crucifies Lacey to the banister with a Swiss Army knife that she's purloined.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Paul Fox has Christy basically... he sends Brenda down again to turn on the lights. And when she does, she blows up real good.
Mm-hmm. Real good.
I mean, they gave her the full White Snake treatment with her hair. And she's been electrifying on that junction box.
Yeah.
But that, of course, sends the lights out again. And Christy uses this to her advantage. She's previously now reconstituted the same setup used to kill her as a trap for somebody else, that Chekhov's lighter. And she lures Paul Fox into her bedroom and uses a tennis ball to convince him that she is behind the bathroom door. Somehow, he does not see the tennis ball, mind you. But
I'm like, it literally rolled from where she was to the bathroom. And like a fucking, terrier, he was like, ball?
But you know what? Just as the Dealey action team arrives, and Josh Dealey runs through a fucking glass door.
Yes, I loved that moment. I was like, what?
He self-defenestrates through a glass door and just walks away from it like, oh, I do that all the time.
Just like a little 5'4" shrimp that just was like, I gotta get in. That just ran right through the door like the Kool-Aid man.
Like
ran right through the door.
Like the Kool-Aid man.
hey, bam, right through. I guess because he's so small, his density is tighter, and he can't be damaged by broken glass.
Works.
He's like a little bullet, like a bullet that just goes right through.
He's like an Ant-Man, but not quite as tiny. He's just sort of
not
shrimp.
nearly as likable.
No,
Sure.
No, not at all.
Right.
No. But Paul Fox is distracted. He figures she's got to be in the bathroom. Just goes in, snaps on that fucking light, and kaboomifies himself. And we get this.
That's the technical
we get
term.
this great shot of him becoming the Phantom of the Opera as he dies. Right up against that beautiful poster that says "Looking good." And I'm like, someone actually thought about that. They
did.
They planned on that one, not the.
That was the shoe guy.
Yeah.
That was the shoe guy. He's like, I had 2 fucking wins in this movie. The shoe guy.
Oh my God. And somehow in the middle of this, Lacey Bowl, even though the entire house becomes surrounded by detectives, aiming guns at windows. Just outside in the driveway, aiming at a second floor window. Lacey disappears.
They are bad cops.
No, terrible.
Disappears.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So he disappears in the night, and then they're like, oh, okay, we saved ourselves. And then cut to Josh Dealey's
bedroom of a 9-year-old boy with an enormous like Lake Tahoe honeymoon getaway bed in it.
Yes, like how and why is this where we end up?
Yeah, why are you in Josh's bed?
I just like understand. How the mom was very careful to point out, you'll be safe. You're in the police commissioner's house. Yes. It's like, thank you for that valuable piece of expository dialogue. And you'll be shocked to know she is not safe because she's in the police commissioner's house because Josh shows up.
Yeah.
And within maybe 12 hours or less after this traumatic experience, he's rolling on top of her and trying to smooch her and all. Yeah. And it's just like, I really just wanted her to mace him or something. Or even just like, spray water in his face like you do to a couple of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He is a true sexual predator. Like, just an absolute fucking monster.
He cannot stop for a second bringing that conversation around to, so when can we have sex again? I mean, I realize it was terrible for you the first time, and I promise it'll be less terrible next time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how could I possibly
Yeah.
turn down that, that enticing offer?
And it was like meant to make him look sweet, I think, in that moment. Like he was like, I promise it won't be as bad. Like,
Yeah.
well,
A, you can't promise that.
yeah.
And B, it is up to
No.
her to decide when it is time to try again if she wants to.
But Gina, how can she turn
Yeah.
him down when there's such a cornucopia of non-warning signs in that bedroom? First
Of
of all, we
course.
learned that he is a fan of the entire NFL. Every team is represented, including a giant
Yeah.
poster of 80s Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Haney. Caleb Haney, everyone.
He's a fan of the whole organization.
You would have to be, and he's a fan of every organization. It turns out.
Like there's not an inch of space in that room that isn't covered with something.
No.
No, he's got a crazy fucking on the, I'll just call it racist Indian statue right
yeah.
next to his bed.
Yes. Yes.
And then for some reason Stan and Ollie busts, but separated from one another as if they're no longer working together on his bookshelf.
In the middle of everything, a promotional photo of David Bowie.
Oh, it gets even better,
Wow.
Gina, because in the midst of this very romantic scene of a guy saying, "Remember when my penis hurt you? Let's do that again."
Let's try it again.
It's like it's been
another
12
go.
hours since you were horribly attacked and saw 3 people die right in front of your very eyes. Come on, baby.
It is
Yeah.
time to make love, not kill 2 people, which you just did.
Yeah, Gina, his dick is the medicine.
It is the panacea that will soothe all of her troubles. But here
Exactly.
to interrupt the beautiful romantic theme of Josh Dealey wedging his thin hips in between her legs is Lacey
Who
Bowl.
apparently, after
it was very
all this, they
bony.
didn't lock the door at the police commissioner's house.
No,
Just they just let himself
Walks
in.
right
No.
walks
Yep.
right in, and in my second favorite moment in the movie, clubs Josh Dealey on the head, which I enjoyed personally.
He's fine. He's fine. But he's fine, though.
What's
In
a head
typical,
injury?
in typical movie
It's-
fashion, he just kind of sitting up going, oh, and like rubbing his head
Yeah.
for like a second. He's fine.
Yeah, literally, totally fine.
That was a champion moment.
Turns out Christy is prepared for this moment. She has a butcher's knife under her fucking pillow and stabs Lacey right in the gut in front of an audience of his greatest foes. You've got Christy, Larry Bird, the Police circa the Ghost in the Machine album, Bob Nystrom of the New York Islanders.
Wow. What a humiliating death.
It really is, because even though the knife is sticking half out of his gut, Christy's like, you know what? Not done yet. And pushes it further into his stomach.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. Kim and I do encourage all of our listeners, in order to survive a horror movie, we get very upset when people don't stab forever.
Yeah.
Stab forever.
Forever. So this was, I will say, I have to give credit where credit is due. I think Kim and I would say that was the right move.
Well, she goes for it.
So.
She's a regular Metallica. She really kills them all. and then, thank God, Josh Dealey's
Oh, I'm so worried. I'm so worried.
God.
so worried. And then Christy just goes over to the phone, starts dialing, puts it up to her ear.
Yep.
The phone rings at her house. Police Commissioner Male Pattern Baldness is there. And she's like, well, you're going to believe me this time, motherfucker. End
Yeah.
of movie.
But also no sense of urgency there either.
Well,
At all.
there's no emergency. I don't think Lacey's getting up from that one. He was already bleeding profusely from his hand wound. And
Right. But there's no sense of trauma. Like, this is just like a Tuesday for
Yeah.
her. Like, she has no, like, she's
Truly.
truly mentally ill. She is, in fact, mentally ill.
she's become the Terminator at the end of this. She's gone full Sarah Connor. She was a Bob's
Yeah.
Big Boy waitress, but now she's a killing machine.
Yeah, there you go.
So that brings us to the moment that everyone has been waiting for, and that is choose your own death venture. And that is where we all decide, of the deaths presented in this movie, if you were forced to die that way, which one would you choose and why? Up for bid, we have 2 separate electrocutions by water on the floor and junction box.
Sure.
You have run over by a Ford Pinto.
Oh, right.
Right.
But then you die on the operating table, and a surgeon comes out and goes, "She died."
Yeah, and no one cares. No one mourns you.
No one
I
cares.
mean, I would give him 1 star on Yelp, but unfortunately, at the time,
Sure.
Yelp was not invented.
no, it was not.
You have blown up real good in a gas explosion in a teenage girl's bathroom. And then you have stabbed in the stomach after being stabbed in the arm and the hand in front of a police poster circa Ghost in the Machine. And so
Yeah.
I choose Kat. Can you go first? What do you think?
Yes. Okay. This is so funny. Kim and I literally just talked about
We
electrocution
did.
in one of our Patreon things. So we were comparing electrocution to drowning, and I've been told that drowning is actually the most painful death. So in that instance, I took electrocution. But I think in this one, I feel like the quickest death, the one that I'll be least aware of, is the blowing up in a bathroom. He seemed to have died pretty fucking quickly. So I'm gonna go with blown up in a bathroom.
Now, you are going to die underneath the gaze of a John Denver album cover. Are you okay with that?
It's actually written into my will that's a requirement. So
All right. Well, then I think you're at home. All right, Kim,
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, as someone who in college really loved dancing to Pour Some Sugar on Me and other 80s jams on top of bars, I'd really love to be in a sort of White Snake music video, and therefore I choose Brenda and her electrocution.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
High five, Bernsey. You'd look gorgeous dying that way.
I mean, you're going to have a fantastic set of outfits, including that
Truly.
denim number that she bites it in. And
Yeah.
you can just let that mane
Yeah.
go, and you just live it and be in that moment. Of course,
Incredible.
you're going to be. The good thing about that is also that basement does not smell like urine because you took Christy to the bathroom earlier.
I
So,
didn't even consider
Could have
that.
been worse.
It only
Sure.
gets better.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
Put it on a T-shirt. All right, Gina, what say you?
My first choice was going to be hit by a car, but then I didn't want to realize in the afterlife that neither my best friend nor my partner really cared about me very much. Because that's a bummer, I mean, when everybody just kind of forgets you and never never
bummer.
mentions you again for the rest of the movie. So I have decided to switch. So I too will also be blown up in a bathroom.
Okay.
Nice.
Sure.
Welcome,
I look
Gina.
forward to it.
Welcome. Yeah.
Now, you're going to have to deal with the fact that you were distracted by a tennis ball. And that was partially
Yeah, that
the
was your
cause.
final
You know what?
moment.
And that
That's
you-
fair.
Showed the person who killed you how to
That's
kill
on
you.
brand for me. I gotta say.
It's on brand.
Catherine too.
All right. This is going to be out of step for me, but I think I really have to go with dying by Ford Pinto. And because really my greatest nightmare in high school was that somehow any part of my sexuality was going to cause my death. I grew up Mormon. It was hanging over my head.
Oh, oof.
God was
Oof.
very involved
Wow.
in my affairs. So
Sure.
I figured
Oh, man.
if I happened to have sex, the next thing that would happen would be me plastered by Ford
That
Pinto.
makes complete sense.
Oh, wow.
Plus,
Poor little baby Patrick.
well, you know what? Again, things got better. So we got that going for us. All right, I think we did it. So before we go, you guys, why don't you tell everyone about your podcast and where to find it?
Sure. We are a horror movie comedy podcast, and what we do is tell the entirety of the movie that the other person hasn't seen, spoilers and all. And then we
Spoilers
play a
and
little
all.
game to see how we would stay alive.
I really like the show. I think you guys you're obviously insanely funny. And you have such a wonderful chemistry together. I encourage people to check it
you.
out. I think you guys are great. really the only mistake I've
you.
ever come across is that you guys still seem to be convinced that there are teenagers in Friday the 13th movies. But other than that,
Fair.
they're very
Yeah.
they're
Fair.
adults.
Yeah.
They're adults.
true.
When you get to part 8, then you're going to find some teenagers. But
Kim, what was the movie we just watched that was not Friday the 13th where there was like a 47-year-old, 12-year-old?
It was Slumber Party Massacre.
oh yeah.
They
Slumber
were all
Party
47.
Massacre. They were no less than 47.
No, those are older people. It was it was time to differentiate yourself because Halloween's teen based and Nightmare on Elm Street's teen based. But some of these other movies are like, how do I differentiate myself? How do I stand out from the crowd? You
Yeah,
gotta go adult.
yeah.
So that just about does it. Hey, Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I am a writer and editor over at The Spool, in which I write about movies and television. Some of my recent articles have been an article in favor of Batman Forever, R.I.P. Joel Schumacher, and I've also written about To Die For and other movies like that. I tend to write about movies that came out a very long time ago, so that's the kids are really into that. And I'm also on Twitter under Porcelain72.
Oh, yeah. You can find us on social media at KKSam Podcast.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Of course, you want to find us. We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And rate and review us on iTunes. It helps us be seen and heard by more people. And that just about does it. Thank you, everyone, for coming and talking about my weird obsession with this goofy-ass movie.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to
this
have
was
you
so
guys here.
fun.
It was great. And I don't know. Oh, you know what we're doing next? Well, at least in the order in which we're recording next week, we're talking Wolf, 1994's Wolf, where you get to watch Jack Nicholson eat a peanut butter sandwich on camera.
I fucking love that movie and that part.
Fantastic. It's a cavalcade of Upper West Side ex-yuppies. And then somehow one of them becomes a werewolf, and then he decides to pee on people.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And so
Sure.
please join us for that.
great.
And until next time, the body count will continue for myself, for Gina, for Kim, and for Ketrin. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's right, live and direct from their own show, Kim and Ket Stay Alive. Maybe. It's Kim Burns and Ketrin Poyer. Fuck. See, I told you. I told you.
You didn't even
It's
mispronounce
still
the one
fucked
you
up.
thought you were going to mispronounce.
No. See, I told you. Oh, okay. Here we go.